Who the hell did this to you? The words tore from Dominic Ashford's throat like a savage growl as he stared down at the broken woman crumpled on his sister's bathroom floor. Blood matted her honey-blonde hair. Purple bruises bloomed across her delicate face like poisonous flowers. And those eyes, those green eyes that had haunted him for 5 years, were glazed with pain and terror. Emma Clark. His sister Sophia's best friend. The one woman he'd forced himself to stay away from. Dom, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go. Dominic Ashford wasn't a man who felt fear. As the head of the most powerful crime family in London, he'd faced down rival gangs, corrupt politicians, and assassination attempts without flinching. But seeing Emma like this, seeing her hurt, sent ice flooding through his veins. Sophia, he roared, already pulling off his jacket to wrap around Emma's shaking shoulders. Call Dr. Morrison. Now. His sister appeared in the doorway, her phone already pressed to her ear. The color drained from her face. Oh my God, Emma. Who did this? Dominic asked again, his voice dangerously soft as he carefully lifted Emma into his arms. She weighed nothing. When had she gotten so thin? Tell me his name. Emma's fingers clutched weakly at his shirt. Please, don't. His name, Emma. Marcus, she breathed. Marcus Caldwell. The name hit Dominic like a punch to the gut. Marcus Caldwell, investment banker, old money, clean reputation. The man Emma had been dating for the past year. The man Dominic had watched her fall for while he stood on the sidelines, playing the role of her best friend's older brother. Playing it safe. Keeping his distance. Pretending he didn't want her with every fiber of his being. Never again. 3 hours earlier. Emma had thought she knew what fear tasted like. She'd been wrong. You think you can just leave me? Marcus's hand cracked across her face again, and she stumbled backward into the wall of his Kensington flat. After everything I've done for you? After I made you someone? Marcus, please. Blood filled her mouth where her teeth had cut into her cheek. Please. He laughed, the sound chilling. You're pathetic. Just like your dead parents. Worthless trash pretending to be something you're not. Emma's vision blurred with tears and pain. She tried to break up with him tonight. Tried to do it gently, in public. But he'd insisted they talk at his place. She should have known. Should have seen the signs earlier, the controlling behavior, the subtle put-downs, the way he isolated her from her friends. From Sophia. From Dominic. God, she'd been so stupid. I invested a year in you, Marcus snarled, grabbing her by the hair. You don't get to walk away until I say so. Something inside Emma snapped. She'd lost her parents in a car crash 5 years ago. She'd rebuilt herself from nothing. She'd survived. She would survive this too. When Marcus drew back his fist again, Emma drove her knee up with all her remaining strength. He doubled over with a roar of pain, and she ran. Ran like her life depended on it, because it did. She didn't remember how she made it to Sophia's building. Didn't remember climbing the stairs or knocking on the door. She only remembered the shock on Dominic's face when he opened it instead of his sister. And the way his storm grey eyes had darkened with a fury she'd never seen before. Presently, Dr. Morrison worked in silence, stitching the gash above Emma's eyebrow while Dominic stood against the wall, his knuckles white around his phone. Sophia held Emma's hand, tears streaming down her face. 3 cracked ribs, extensive bruising, mild concussion, the doctor finally said. She needs rest. No stress. And someone should watch her for the next 48 hours. She's staying here, Dominic said flatly. Emma tried to sit up. Dom, I can't. You can. You will. He crossed the room in 3 strides, his expression brooking no argument. You're not going back to your flat. You're not going anywhere near that bastard. Understand? I need to call the police. No police. His voice was granite. Emma stared at him. What? The police can't protect you from men like Caldwell. Money buys immunity in this city. But I can handle this my way. He crouched beside the bed, his eyes boring into hers. Do you trust me? It was insane. She should say no. should run from Dominic Ashford just as fast as she'd run from Marcus, because this man was dangerous in entirely different ways. He commanded an empire built on fear and violence. He broke bones and ended lives with a phone call. But when she looked into his eyes, she didn't see the ruthless London crime lord everyone else feared. She saw the man who'd given her a job at one of his legitimate clubs when her parents died. The man who'd made sure she never wanted for anything, always from a distance, always careful not to cross lines. The man whose rare smiles had sustained her through the darkest periods of grief. The man she'd been half in love with for 5 years. "Yes," she whispered. "I trust you." Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. He stood abruptly. "Good. Sophia, stay with her. I'll be back." "Dom." Sophia caught his arm. "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done the moment she started dating him." He shrugged off her grip. "I'm going to have a conversation with Marcus Caldwell." Marcus Caldwell was drunk when Dominic's men dragged him from his flat at midnight. He was screaming threats and obscenities when they threw him into the back of a black SUV. And he was silent, finally, blessedly silent, when he found himself in an abandoned warehouse in East London, tied to a chair, facing the most powerful crime boss in the city. "Do you know who I am?" Dominic asked conversationally, removing his cufflinks and rolling up his sleeves. Marcus's bravado crumbled. "Mr. Ashford, there's been a mistake." "No mistake." Dominic picked up a cricket bat from the table beside him. "You put your hands on Emma Clark. You beat her. You terrorized her. You made her bleed. That bitch is lying." The bat connected with Marcus's kneecap. His scream echoed through the warehouse. "Wrong answer." Dominic's voice remained eerily calm. "Let's try this again. You hurt a woman under my protection. Do you understand what that means?" Marcus was sobbing now, terror and pain stripping away his veneer of sophistication. "Please, I'm sorry, I didn't know." "You didn't know what?" "That she mattered to me." Dominic leaned down until they were face to face. "Let me make something crystal clear. Emma Clark is mine. She's always been mine. And you worthless piece of filth, you touched what's mine." "I'm sorry. God, please, I'm sorry." Dominic straightened. "You're going to do 3 things. First, you're going to disappear. Take your money and leave London. If I ever see your face again, they'll never find your body. Second, you're going to transfer half your assets to Emma's name as compensation. Third, if you ever speak to her, contact her, or even think about her, I will finish what I started tonight. Understood?" Marcus nodded frantically, blood and tears running down his face. "Good." Dominic dropped the bat. "Get him out of my sight." But as his men dragged Marcus away, Dominic felt no satisfaction. Only a hollow rage that wouldn't be quenched by violence. Because Emma was still hurt. Still traumatized. Still broken by a man who should have cherished her. And Dominic had let it happen by staying away. By convincing himself she was better off without him. By being a coward. Never again. 2 weeks later, Emma woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. It took her a moment to remember where she was, Dominic's penthouse, in the guest room he'd insisted she use until she felt safe again. She'd been here for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of Sophia fussing over her, of Dr. Morrison's daily visits, of quiet evenings with Dominic reviewing the books for his clubs while she read beside him on the couch. 2 weeks of slowly healing. 2 weeks of feeling safer than she'd felt in a year. She found Dominic on the terrace, staring out over London with a cup of coffee in his hand. He'd shed his usual tailored suit for dark jeans and a black t-shirt, and the morning light softened the harsh angles of his face. "Can't sleep?" he asked without turning. "Bad dream?" She wrapped her arms around herself. "Same one. Him finding me." "He won't." Dominic finally looked at her, and the intensity in his eyes stole her breath. "He's gone. Left the country 3 days ago. I made sure of it." "What did you do, Dom?" "What was necessary?" He set down his coffee. "You don't need to know the details." Emma should be horrified. Should be appalled by the violence she knew he was capable of. But all she felt was relief. And something else. Something that had been building since that first night. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why did you help me? Really?" Dominic was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. "Then, because I'm in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. "I've been in love with you since the day Sophia brought you home from university," he continued, his voice rough. "You were 21, grieving, lost. And so damn beautiful it hurt to look at you. But you were my sister's best friend. 10 years younger than me. Innocent. Everything I could never have." Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. "Dom. Let me finish." He moved closer, but didn't touch her. "I stayed away. Told myself you deserved better than a man like me. Better than violence and blood and darkness. So I watched you date other men. Watched you smile for them. And when you started seeing Caldwell, it nearly killed me. But I thought you were happy. Thought you'd found what you deserved." "I wasn't happy," Emma whispered. "I was trying to forget." "Forget what?" "You." The confession tumbled out. "I was trying to forget that I'd fallen in love with a man who would never see me as anything but his sister's friend. A man who kept me at arm's length no matter how much I wanted him to notice me. So I found someone safe. Someone uncomplicated. Someone who wasn't you." Dominic's jaw clenched. "Emma. And I was so wrong." Tears blurred her vision. Marcus seemed perfect at first. Attentive. Charming. But slowly he became controlling. Critical. He made me feel small. And I stayed because I thought I didn't deserve better. Because I'd already been rejected by the man I really wanted. "I never rejected you. You never gave me a chance to be rejected." Emma's voice broke. "You never saw me, Dom. Not really. Not as a woman who could make her own choices about what, or who, she wants." The distance between them evaporated. Suddenly Dominic's hands were cupping her face, tilting it up to his. "I see you," he said fiercely. "God, Emma, I've always seen you. Every smile. Every laugh. Every time you walked into a room, the whole world disappeared. Do you know what torture that's been? Wanting you so badly I could barely breathe, knowing I had no right to touch you. You have the right now." Her hands fisted in his shirt. "If you want it." "Want it?" His laugh was almost painful. "Emma, I've wanted nothing else for 5 years." "Then stop talking," she breathed. "And kiss me." He did. The kiss was everything she'd dreamed of and nothing she'd expected. Gentle at first, almost reverent, as if he was afraid she'd break. But when she pressed closer, when she opened to him, it turned desperate. Hungry. 5 years of longing poured into a single moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. "I don't deserve you. Let me decide what I deserve." She smiled through her tears. "I choose you, Dom, darkness and all. I always have." "You're sure?" His thumbs brushed away her tears. "Because once you're mine, Emma, I won't let you go. Ever. Promise. Promise." He kissed her again, and this time she felt it, the unshakable certainty that she was exactly where she belonged. In the arms of London's most dangerous man. The man who'd shown her that real strength wasn't about control or domination. It was about protection. Devotion. Love. 6 months later. The garden of the Ashford family estate in the Cotswolds had been transformed into something out of a fairy tale. White roses and twinkling lights adorned every surface. A string quartet played softly as guests took their seats. Emma stood in the bridal suite, staring at her reflection in disbelief. The wedding dress was simple but elegant, ivory lace with delicate sleeves, fitted bodice, flowing skirt. Sophia had woven fresh flowers into her upswept hair. "You look like a princess," Sophia said, wiping tears from her eyes. "I can't believe my best friend is marrying my brother. I can't believe he asked me." Emma touched the diamond ring on her finger, a family heirloom Dominic had slipped onto her hand 3 months ago during a quiet dinner at home. "Are you kidding? The man is obsessed with you." Sophia grinned. "Last week he threatened to shoot anyone who looked at you wrong at the charity gala. He did not. He absolutely did. I heard him. Sophia squeezed her hand. But Emma, seriously, are you happy? Truly happy? Emma thought about the past 6 months. About moving into Dominic's penthouse officially. About the therapy sessions he'd insisted on and attended with her. About watching him dismantle his more dangerous operations, transitioning the family business toward legitimate enterprises because he wanted a different future. For her. For them. About the way he held her during nightmares. The way he made her laugh. The way he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. I'm happier than I ever thought possible, she said honestly. He saved me, Soph. In every way a person can be saved. Then let's get you married. The ceremony was perfect. Emma walked down the aisle to Dominic waiting at the altar, looking devastating in a charcoal suit, his eyes bright with emotion. When she reached him, he took her hands in his, and she felt him trembling. You came, he murmured. Did you think I wouldn't? I'm still afraid I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. The officiant cleared his throat. Shall we begin? The vows were traditional, but when Dominic spoke his voice rang with conviction. I promise to protect you. To cherish you. To love you for every day I have left on this earth. You saved me, Emma. You made me want to be better. And I will spend my life making sure you never regret choosing me. Emma's vows were simpler. I choose you, Dominic Ashford. Today and always. You showed me what real love looks like, fierce and protective and unconditionally mine. I love you. I'll always love you. When the officiant pronounced them married, Dominic's kiss was tender and possessive all at once. The guests erupted in applause. Later, at the reception, Dominic pulled Emma onto the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. As they swayed to the music, she rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Regrets? He asked softly. Not a single one. She looked up at him, smiling. Though I have to ask, what happened to Marcus? Really? Dominic's expression hardened slightly. He's alive, if that's what you're asking. Living in Dubai. Last I heard, he lost everything in some bad investments. Strange how luck works. Strange indeed. Emma didn't press. She didn't need to know. That chapter of her life was closed. I love you, Dominic said suddenly, fiercely. In case I haven't said it enough. You've said it approximately 50 times today. Her smile widened. But I'll never get tired of hearing it. Good. Because I plan to tell you every day for the rest of our lives. As the music swelled and Dominic held her close, Emma thought about the question that had started it all. Who hurt you? Marcus had hurt her body. But Dominic had healed her soul. He'd shown her that she was worthy of protection, devotion, and a love that would burn down the world to keep her safe. She'd been broken. But she'd been put back together stronger. Not despite the cracks, but because of them. And in those cracks, love had taken root and grown into something beautiful. What are you thinking about? Dominic asked. How grateful I am, she said honestly, that I knocked on Sophia's door that night. That you answered. That you asked the right question. Who hurt you? Who hurt me, she echoed. And then you made sure no one ever would again. He kissed her forehead. Never again, he promised. You're mine now, Emma Ashford. And I protect what's mine. I know, she whispered. That's why I love you. They danced until the stars came out, surrounded by friends and family, celebrating not just a wedding but a new beginning. A future built on trust, healing, and a love fierce enough to conquer darkness. And when Dominic finally swept Emma into his arms and carried her to the car amid a shower of rose petals and laughter, she knew with absolute certainty that she'd found her happily ever after. Not because a prince had saved her, but because she'd saved herself, and found a partner who would stand beside her, protecting her heart as fiercely as she protected his. Forever.